Higher education ministers in the CEMAC zone recommend the harmonization of credits and easy academic mobility. This in a bid to better higher learning in the sub-region. Regional assemblies seek ways and means to integrate concerns of indigenous populations in their development plans. The regional presidents met with the Minister of Social Affairs today in prelude to the 27th International Day of Indigenous People. Cameroon's odyssey at the African Nations Cup has been a triumphant one, with the country lifting the trophy 5 times. Tonight we recount Cameroon's success history at the African Cup of Nations. Those were our headlines. Good evening and thanks for joining us on the Primetime News. I am Freddie Etabisong. Stay on.
I urge you once again to put on your face masks, to wash your hands regularly, and to consult a physician or any other health personnel if you notice any symptoms. This is the only way to save lives and to curb the spread of the virus.
Welcome back. The Council of Ministers of Higher Education, Scientific Research and Training of the CEMAC zone have recommended the harmonization of credits and facilitation of academic mobility to improve higher education learning in the sub-region. The meeting, chaired by Cameroon's Higher Education Minister Jacques Famendongo, also focused on reviewing the draft regulatory framework for the creation of a CEMAC label. Clarisse Aritakang reports.
Promoting sub-regional integration through a harmonized approach in higher education, scientific research and training. It is a basis on which discussions at the CEMAC Council of Ministers held. Under review, amongst other concerns, were the draft regulatory framework for the creation of a CEMAC label of excellence and the draft project on the decision for the creation, organization and functioning of the Quality Insurance Community Unit for higher education, scientific research and training within the CEMAC space.
They had to work on the standardization of the system that operates within the higher education system to the bachelor's, master's, doctorate problem. We also had to work on the capitalization of credits and transferability of credits within universities. So moving from the University of Yaoundé 1, for instance, to a university in Chad, you shouldn't be able to go through the same courses that you took within our university. And also you had to work on academic mobility.
Recommendations arrived at will be submitted to the Conference of Heads of State for approval. Thereafter will follow the implementation of the new guidelines to be practiced at the higher education level in the Central African sub-region.
The Minister of Social Affairs, Pauline Irene Ngene, today met with presidents of the regional assemblies in prelude to the 27th edition of the Indigenous People. They discussed on how to integrate the concerns of the indigenous populations in the regional development plan, taking into account their specificities, some of which are related to education, access to land, early marriages, and lack of civil rights. Beatrice Ngum reports.
At the heart of the equatorial rainforest, they weave bundles of green leaves into rainproof huts for shelter. The forest is the bedrock of their culture. In the savanna and grass fields is another group that treks very long distances with their cattle in search of grazing land. The Pygmies and Bororos have a unique traditional lifestyle, so much so that instead of being an attraction, they are rather treated with disdain. To redress this situation, in the build-up to the 27th edition of the International Day of Indigenous People, the Minister of Social Affairs has met with presidents of regional assemblies and representatives of other ministries to see how they can include the problems of indigenous people into the decentralization process.
The goal of this consultation is really to integrate the specific needs of indigenous people in the regional development plan So since these plans are being elaborated now, I think it's the time for us to integrate those specific needs. We are satisfied for the consultation we had. We really felt the commitment of the president who came here. They all came.
This year's International Day of Indigenous Populations will once again be a platform to advocate for greater consideration of these vulnerable groups in Cameroon.
The ordinary session of the Yaoundé City Council has wrapped up with councillors adopting the administrative and management accounts of the structure for 2020. Presided at by the city mayor Luc Messi Atangana, the initial budget stood at over 35 billion CFA francs. Revenue collected summed up to 20 million CFA francs with expenditure of over 14 billion, giving a positive balance of 5 billion CFA francs. The city mayor during the session proposed that the 5 billion francs be invested in the provision of social amenities like potable water, fight against urban disorder, and to beautify the city ahead of the 2021 AFCON. Meanwhile, 10 students from across Cameroon have been awarded the Erasmus scholarship sponsored by the European Union. They were presented to the press today in Yaoundé in a come-together chaired by the EU's ambassador to Cameroon, Philippe Van Damme. Rehanatu Saleh reports.
Here are the happy beneficiaries of the Erasmus Plus scholarship program sponsored by the European Union. It offers these Cameroonian students the opportunity to continue their studies in Belgium, Turkey, Egypt, Poland and France.
It was the first time that I heard about the Erasmus Mundus. I just applied for the Erasmus Mundus. It was selected first by your competence. So they were looking at your CGPA, at your leadership skills.
The beneficiaries were selected on the basis of a well-defined criteria.
Erasmus Plus is in fact an inter-university type of cooperation, whereby in fact universities from the north cooperate with universities of the south to enhance their internal capacities, but also allow students to go for an exchange programs, master's degrees or shorter exchanges.
10 young Cameroonians whose knowledge of Europe was tested were equally awarded vouchers to purchase books of their choice.
On our ICT page tonight, we present the project of Yannick Edouard Mekongo, a Cameroonian who is pursuing his studies in artificial intelligence in France. The young man is the brain behind a robot in gestation, which once completed will be able to carry out facial, voice, and object recognition. Beatrice Ngom profiles the young ICT expert in the following report.
At 24, Yannick Edouard Mekongo is already aiming for a pattern as an inventor. The former student of IAI Cameroon, best of his batch, now resident in Dijon, France, is on a project and gradually it's taking shape. He has just acquired this 3D printer to model his own components and build a robotic prototype of his own.
I was working in different projects in the domain of artificial intelligence. I have designed robotic hands that imitate my hand gesture.
For now, it's only a robot application. The software part has been assembled with material he bought online, and his first testing was a success.
When you work to satisfy a problem, your solution will be automatically imposed to the scientific world.
Though not yet an inventor, his lecturer of IAI Cameroon says he excelled in artificial intelligence during his days on the campus.
When I see his success today, I'm not surprised. He had realized a Cameroonian pygmy camp. Our country has won a special prize of innovation in Laval virtual competition in France.
Yannick Edouard could just be a name among the next generation of robot inventors.
Evaluating the level of execution of the Maputo Protocol, which is an international human rights instrument established by the African Union, is a focus of the Second Congress organized in Yaoundé by members of the International Women Lawyers Network. The conclave was chaired by the president of the Cameroon Bar Association, Claire Atangana Bikuna. Sidonie Jobmandi has details of the report.
The Maputo Protocol, put in place by the African Union to uphold the rights of women and girls in Africa, is at the center of discussion between members of the International Women Lawyer Network. According to participants, women and girls deserve to live in a world that is free from all forms of violence and discrimination.
The Maputo Protocol came in force and actually brought in some new elements of protection specifically for African women. Because, you know, African women, our rights, we have some peculiarities that are just for African women, and this one was just specifically to protect us.
Lawyers from Cameroon and abroad came together to assess the level of execution of the said protocol in Africa.
Most women who came here today, all of them are Africans, and want to know whether their rights are actually being protected by the instrument that have been put in place.
The Cameroonian writer and feminist activist Jalil Amadou Amal, who is a promoter of human rights, especially rights of women and girls, was invited during the opening ceremony to share experiences with female lawyers from over 20 different countries present at the event.
Over in the Northwest region, health officials of the neonatology unit of the Bamenda Regional Hospital have requested for a restoration of breast milk bank. This specific demand is to meet up with the increasing need of babies who cannot receive breast milk directly from their mothers. Let's get more details with Sylvie Banta of CRTV Northwest in Bamenda.
At the hospital's nursery, the lone in the region, 22 babies are currently under admission. Most of them were born prematurely. Apart from the medication administered to these babies, the nurse in charge is also concerned about their nutrition.
We ask mothers to drink a lot of water to produce us breast milk. If nothing is in the stomach, we ask the mother to express the breast milk immediately.
The health personnel says it has been over 5 years since the milk bank shut down, making it difficult for some babies to access breast milk.
They have not trained somebody for us to manage the breast bank, and then since then we have not been able to manage the breast bank or to even store breast for children who are not breastfeeding.
Meanwhile, this nursing mother has chosen to feed her baby exclusively with breast milk for 6 months.
Baby is healthy, she rarely falls sick. Like now, this is the rainy season, she rarely catches cold.
Medics in the region insist exclusive breastfeeding remains the safest, cheapest, and most convenient method of feeding babies who are less than 6 months old.
Now on to our slot, Cameroon, my beautiful country. We take you to the Manu division of the Southwest region to talk about the Moninkim traditional dance, a traditional rhythm which is a transformative display of maidens of the land, signifying the successful orientation of womanhood. Tanjong Levis Agbo spoke to some Manu women on how this dance illuminates the culture of the Manu people. His report.
Dressed in beads with painted faces, the young women dance swiftly, celebrating a change from a maiden into a full womanhood. They must go through a process of initiation, grooming, beautification, and circumcision. The Moninkim dance remains a great source of pride to the Manu woman.
The word Moninkim used to actually go for circumcised and trained young girls and women. When a young girl comes of age, you become a teenager and you are now ripe for marriage. This young girl is taken to a fattening room. The girls are kept there. They are trained how to dance. They are trained how to run a home.
The songs and dance movements tell a story of their experience and added value to life and community development.
This was like a pride to them and their families. And just take note that Morning Kims used to be very beautiful girls.
The respect and importance attached to this ceremony is phenomenal, as the pride is shared among the family, relations, and the entire community.
It will be a very big feast, celebration. You have gift. A morning Kim in my new culture is not any girl, any type of person that can be a morning Kim. A morning Kim is a pride of Manu, and there were special girls that were selected to be morning Kims.
Despite the erosion of cultural values of the people of Manu, Morning Kim has remained a sustainable cultural creation preserved by the Manu people.
A very colorful dance indeed of the Manu people in the southwest region. The new board chair of Cameroon's leading cement company, Semancam, has commended the efforts of workers of the company for being steadfast in spite of the COVID-19 pandemic. Mr. Jacques-Yves Mbelendwe, who replaced Mr. Pierre Mukokombonjo as board chair, made the remarks recently in Douala during his maiden visit to the company. Scholar Maloke tells us more in the following report.
Jacques-Yves Mbelendwe was officially installed as board chair of Semancam on July 13th by the Minister of Mines, Industry and Technological Development, Gabriel Ndodondokem. During this maiden tour at Semancam, he visited not only the offices in Bonaberi, Douala, but was also given a guided tour of the cement production factory. He was accompanied during the tour by the Director General of Semancam, Benoit Galichet, who says his appointment as new board chair signals a new dawn in the company.
With a new boss, yes, he will have new expectations. Yeah, he will wish new targets. He will expect a new achievement or new development.
It was also an occasion for Benoit Galichet to throw light on the letter from the Minister of Trade with regards to an impending increase in the price of cement.
The raw material we are using to produce cement has increased drastically. And the cost of this raw material has increased drastically. It has doubled in 1 year. And this one is affecting very, very heavily the profitability of the cement industry. And we cannot continue this way.
At the end of the meeting, the board chair expressed satisfaction with what he has seen and heard.
My impressions are very satisfactory because the working session we had with the personnel was an occasion for them to present their projects, where they are and what their projections for the coming years are. I think if all the means are available, as things were presented, be it in the personnel or logistic level or production, especially as there are other varieties which make Semancam leader in the cement production sector, then I'm certain that the future is bright for Semancam.
The new board chair, Jacques-Yves Mbelendwe, is a veterinary doctor by profession and has been Cameroon's Minister of Water and Energy between 1997 to 2002, hence not an amateur in the sector.
Despite our efforts, COVID-19 plunged many families into mourning and seriously hampered the functioning of our economy and society.
With the ongoing vaccination campaign against the coronavirus nationwide, many Cameroonians have been mistakenly allowing themselves to be administered doses of different vaccines without taking into consideration the effects. Is this recommended, and what may be the consequences? Let's find out from Borin Sama and his guest, Dr. Andreas Njor at the Public Health Emergency Center. Good evening, Borin.
Good evening to you, Fredita Bissong. Actually, it's a major worry on the part of many Cameroonians who wish to know how possible is it to have doses of two different types of vaccines. For example, after having been administered the Sinopharm vaccines, can someone equally be administered the Johnson & Johnson? Let's find out from our guest tonight, Dr. Andreas Njor of the National Immunization Program. Good evening to you, Doctor.
Good evening, Body.
How possible is it for one to be administered doses of two separate vaccines? Okay, thank you so much, Bodwin. I think the first thing to note here is that the National Immunization Technical Advisory Group for now maintains the fact that if you have been vaccinated with a given vaccine for first dose, the second dose should be with that same vaccine. So all those who have received Sinopharm for the first should receive their second dose with Sinopharm. Those who have received AstraZeneca for their first dose, the second dose should equally be with AstraZeneca. Now, for those who have not yet been vaccinated before against COVID-19, they can equally just receive a single dose of Johnson & Johnson, and for now, that is enough to give them an adequate protection against the disease. Is it possible for somebody who has received 2 doses of AstraZeneca and who wishes to have a single dose of Johnson & Johnson, how possible is it, or are there some risk involved in having a doses of 2 separate vaccines? For now, that is not recommended in our context. It's not recommended. If there are any future guidelines, this will be communicated to the public. And the fear is that at times mixing a lot of vaccines, we don't know the outcome. So it's better we remain vigilant and we receive our vaccines as recommended by the health personnel. Thank you so much, Dr. Andreas Njau. Let's remain vigilant and have our doses of the single vaccine, albeit AstraZeneca, Sinopharm, or Johnson & Johnson. Back to you, Friedieta Bissau.
In those concerns, the President of the Republic has saluted the memories of 5 police constables killed in an ambush in Njenka, Bali subdivision of the Northwest region. The President's message was delivered during a solemn ceremony chaired by the Delegate General for National Security, Martin Bangagele, to give military honors to the 5 policemen killed on July 18, 2021. Elvis Teke was at the emotion-packed ceremony at the Advanced Police College in Yaoundé. His report.
The trail of caskets to the courtyard of the National Advanced Police School in Yaoundé met with grieving relatives of the 5 policemen who died in the line of duty. Aged between 27 and 31 years, the fallen officers had for the most part served the police force for less than 5 years, the majority being of the 2016 batch of the police school in Mutengene. The Delegate General for National Security, Martin Bangagele, in a symbolic bow, paid final tribute to the police constables who have served the force with bravery and honor up to the ultimate sacrifice. The condolence message of the head of state, Supreme Commander of the police force, was delivered to the corps and the family members. The deceased officers include 2 constables, Amadou Mandi Jean Chazel, age 30, father of 1, Bikoy Charlie Ivan, age 31, 3 police constables, Dongmeza Levis Parfait, age 27, Mai Geoffrey Koum, age 30, and Oba Mvele Frank, age 27, father of 2. The remains of 4 of the policemen have been conveyed to their respective villages for burial this Friday and Saturday, while that of Mai Geoffrey, born in Way in the Northwest region, will be laid to rest in Soua in the outskirts of Yaoundé.
Quite sad indeed. Meanwhile, the former governor of the Far North Province, Abate Lazare, who died last June 26, 2021, has begun his journey to eternity with the corpse removal at the mortuary of the Yaoundé General Hospital. The coffin ceremony was attended by some state dignitaries, family members and friends, as you report, Gilbert Ongene.
It is at the foot of this baobab tree in Kamer, his birthplace, that the late patriarch Yara Basil has been laid to rest. He is described as a person who lived his life like a good tree, bearing fruits emanating from his good deeds.
You are a source of inspiration and kindness. To us, you are a monument. We love you dearly, and you will always be in our hearts. So it isn't a goodbye forever. It's the celebration of your life and achievements.
Bishop Christophe Zoua of St. Milima Diocese enjoined those present to, like the departed patriarch, shun materialism and embrace a life of faith and action so as to be celebrated on the day of their death.
Our father represents everything to us. Who I am now is thanks to him. He handed me his last 5 million francs to enable me kick off my business when I return from studies abroad. It is thanks to this support that I am who I am today.
state dignitaries, a delegation of Serac women led by Linda Young, family members, friends from far and near were present from the corpse removal at the mortuary of the Yaoundé General Hospital and at the Benedictines Monastery in Montpellier, where the Archbishop of Yaoundé, His Grace Jean Barga, said a pontifical mass to wish farewell to the patriarch.
We're sorry for that mix-up. We shall have that story in our subsequent newscasts. Before continuing with the news, this press release, the President of the National Communication Council informs media professionals and the general public that some sanctions which were issued on July 6, 2021 during the 28th extraordinary session of this autonomous regulatory organ have come to an end today. In this regard, Sismondi Bale Bijoka and Steve Jocelyn Ngos, respectively, the director of the publication Radio and journalist on duty at the said television station, are once more authorized to exercise the profession of journalist in Cameroon. The president of the National Communication Council, however, draws their attention and that of all media professionals to the need to comply with ethical and deontological rules in the processing of information intended for the general public. And that release was signed for the president and by proxy, the Secretary General, Professor Jean-Toby Hond. On to our cultural page tonight, Cameroon's legendary Makossa musician Petit Pays et les Sans Visa will be painting BBTO Cultural Complex in Van tonight in a concert that promises to be mind-blowing. Join Mr. Leo and Wax Day on Saturday and Sunday at La Castrol Limbe for a listening and showcase of Wax Day's EP launch. Emmanuel Venue has our cultural roundup for the weekend.
Be ready for this and more tonight at the Bebeto Complex in the Changeur Van Yaoundé when iconic Makossa singer Petit Pays and Les Sans Visa mount the stage in a concert like none other.
One charge the bill for my nemo.
If you're rather entertained by urban music, then make it a date at La Castrol in Limbe this Saturday as on 5 p.m. and Sunday when Mr. Leo and Wax Day shall treat you to an evening that you deserve. It will be the EP listening and showcase red carpet of Wax Day in Limbe.
Africa, aïe, moi je t'aime, l'amour est, moi j'adore.
Ivorian Coupé Décalé singer Serge Beno will be at the Sansa nightclub tonight as from 10 p.m. and on Saturday, same time at Katio's nightclub for a show to remember. Culinary arts training will also be on the menu this weekend in Douala. Fun and useful tips for kids from 8 to 15 years, such as baking, ice cream, and table manners, among others. It is the weekend. Make the best of it.
We come back to the obituary on the former governor of the Far North Province, Abate Lazare, who died last June 26, and has begun his journey to eternity with the corpse removal at the mortuary of the Yaoundé General Hospital. The coffin ceremony was attended by some state dignitaries, family members, and friends. Gilbert Ongene reports.
A seasoned civil administrator during his time, Abate Lazare quits the scene at the age of 67.
He was a friend and brother. Lazare was a committed administrator, a great servant of the state, faithful to the head of state.
At his corpse removal at the mortuary of the Yaoundé General Hospital, those present have vivid memories of the former SDO for the Mbaman Kim, Leki, and Vori divisions, and one time governor of the then Far North Province.
He worked very hard. I want to express my deepest condolences to the family.
My father was the best. He's a very, very lovely father. Very painful for me because he left.
Former Governor Abate Lazare will be laid to rest this Saturday, August 7, in his native Ngomnang village in Gelemunduka, Upper Nyong Division of the East Region.
We now talk sports and on to our countdown series on the draw ceremony of the 2021 AFCON fixed for August 17. We focus tonight on Cameroon's successful campaign at the African Nations Cup. Cameroon has lifted the trophy 5 times, losing twice at the finals. Baldwin Sama now recounts Cameroon's triumphant history at the African Cup of Nations in this report.
Cameroon's glorious campaign at the Africa Cup of Nations started in 1984, where after a brilliant group stage, the team imposed a supremacy over the Super Eagles of Nigeria 3-1 to secure their first continental win. 4 years later, they met the same opponents, the Super Eagles of Nigeria, still at the final. Yeah, the Lions secured a 2-1 victory to confirm their second African title. After several years in the wilderness, they bounced back in the year 2000 with a fine generation of players led by Rigobert Song. Sailing through the group stage, the Lions played against the Super Eagles of Nigeria at the final, where after a 2-2 draw, Cameroon made use of the penalty kicks to secure their third African title.
On écoute le pays. Début des moments, c'est le moment. On a le trophée. On a le trophée.
2 years later in Bamako in Mali against Senegal, during the post-match penalties, the Lions outsmarted the Teranga Lions of Senegal to reign supreme on the African continent. Their last title won was in 2017 in Gabon, where Team Cameroon came from behind to surprise many bookmakers, defeating Egypt at the final 2-1, claiming their 5th title. Twice they have lost at the finals of the Africa Cup of Nations in 1986 and in 2008, still against the same opponents, their age-old rival, Egypt.
A fine odyssey indeed. We wish them well in the upcoming campaign. And we stay in sports, where in our weekend sports review, the Guinness Super League will come to an end this weekend when league leaders, our football club, take on Amazon's FAP on Sunday. The match, scheduled for 3 p.m. at the Amadou Ahidjo Stadium, is the second game after Louvre Minprof versus Caïman Fi of Douala at 1 p.m. The Tokyo Olympic Games will come to an end this Sunday, with finals of collective sports taking center stage. More of the preview with Daniel Ekonde in this report.
This weekend will decide the winners of the inaugural edition of the Guinness Super League. The top of the table clashes start with Louvre Minprof against Caïman Douala on Sunday at 1 p.m. at the Amadou Ahidjo Sports Complex. Defending champions Louvre, who sit second with 51 points, must beat Caïman to stand a chance of lifting the trophy. But leaders Awa FC, who've got 53 points, can cut short that dream if they beat Amazon FAP at 3 p.m. Also on the watch this weekend is the end of the 32nd edition of the Olympics in Japan. It will be marked by finals of collective sports, notably Brazil playing Spain in men's football on Saturday, and the USA defending their Rio 2016 gold medal in basketball on the same day. China, USA and Japan have dominated the middle table throughout the games, with the former having more than 30 gold.
That sports report brings us to the end of this newscast. Thanks for choosing to watch news on CRTV. Have a good night, and we shall be back tomorrow with more.
I urge you once again to put on your face masks, to wash your hands regularly, and to consult a physician or any other health personnel if you notice any symptoms. This is the only way to save lives and to curb the spread of the virus.